Admiral Vexthran clicked his mandibles in what could only be described as barely contained fury. The holographic display showed the Academy's main training facility, where 23 of the galaxy's finest military cadets stood frozen in terror. Well, 22 actually stood frozen. The 23rd was casually examining his fingernails. "Explain to me again," Vexthran hissed through his translator, "why we thought it was a brilliant idea to release a Korthak Reaper into a room full of students." Captain Zilmora shifted nervously, her forearms twitching. "Sir, the simulation parameters were set for a standard predator encounter. The computer must have miscalculated." "Miscalculated?" The Admiral's voice rose 3 octaves. "That thing in there has killed entire battlecruiser crews. And you're telling me it was an oopsie?" On the screen, the Korthak Reaper prowled through the training chamber. Standing nearly 12 feet tall, with razor-sharp claws that could slice through titanium hull plating, and teeth that made ancient Earth sharks look like friendly dolphins, it was the stuff of nightmares. Its 6 eyes scanned the room, searching for prey that cowered behind overturned tables and training equipment, all except one. Marcus Webb, the lone human in the Academy's exchange program, stood directly in the center of the room. He wasn't hiding. He wasn't even holding a weapon. Instead, he appeared to be stretching. "Is he doing yoga?" Lieutenant Kixtal asked, his scaled face pressed against the observation window. "I think he's warming up," whispered another officer. The Reaper noticed the human too. Its massive head swiveled toward Marcus, and a sound somewhere between a roar and a death rattle echoed through the chamber. The other cadets whimpered and pressed themselves deeper into their hiding spots. Marcus looked up from his stretching routine. "Oh, hello there, big guy. Fancy meeting you here." The creature's response was to charge directly at him, claws extended, jaws wide enough to swallow a speeder bike whole. What happened next would be talked about in Academy legend for centuries to come. Marcus sidestepped the charging beast with the casual grace of someone avoiding a puddle on the sidewalk. The Reaper, expecting to connect with soft human flesh, instead crashed headfirst into the reinforced wall behind where Marcus had been standing mere seconds before. "Ooh, that's gotta hurt," Marcus commented, wincing theatrically. "You might want to get that looked at. I know a good chiropractor on Earth, but the commute might be a bit much for you." The Reaper shook its head, clearly dazed but far from defeated. It spun around, fixing all 6 eyes on the human with newfound respect and considerably more caution. "Oh, you're one of the smart ones, aren't you?" Marcus grinned. "Good. I hate it when they're stupid. Makes it boring." In the observation deck, absolute silence reigned. Not one of the seasoned military officers could process what they were witnessing. "Sir," Captain Zilmora whispered, should we help him?" "Help him?" Admiral Vexthran's voice cracked. He just made a Korthak Reaper look like an amateur. The Reaper circled Marcus now, clearly trying to figure out this strange prey that didn't run, didn't hide, and certainly didn't show proper fear. It feinted left, then right, testing for reactions. Marcus tracked its movements with mild interest. "You know, back home, we had things kind of like you. Called them bears." "Well, okay, bears were maybe a 10th your size and had significantly fewer teeth, but the principle was the same." He paused thoughtfully. "Actually, we also had sharks. And crocodiles. And spiders. Lots and lots of spiders." The Reaper paused mid-prowl, as if confused by this casual conversation. "The thing about growing up on Earth," Marcus continued conversationally, "is that everything there wants to kill you. The weather, the animals, the plants, even some of the bacteria get ambitious occasionally. So you learn to adapt." Without warning, the creature lunged again, this time with a complex spinning attack that should have been impossible to dodge in such close quarters. Marcus dropped flat, rolled sideways, and somehow ended up behind the beast. "Nice try. Your technique needs work though. Too much commitment to the initial strike, not enough follow-through on the recovery." The Reaper spun around so fast its claws gouged trenches in the floor. "See? Much better." Marcus applauded. "You're learning." On the observation deck, Lieutenant Kixtal fainted. 2 other officers were making rapid calculations on their personal devices. "What are they doing?" Admiral Vexthran demanded. "Updating their life insurance policies, sir," came the trembling reply. Meanwhile, Marcus had apparently decided that simply dodging was getting repetitive. When the Reaper charged again, instead of moving away, he ran directly toward it. The creature, expecting another dodge, was completely unprepared when Marcus slid between its legs like he was stealing second base, popped up behind it, and delivered what could only be described as the most nonchalant slap in galactic history to its hindquarters. "Tag. You're it." The Reaper's roar of fury and confusion echoed through the Academy's halls. Marcus dusted off his hands and checked an imaginary watch. "Well, this has been fun, but I've got xenobiology homework due tomorrow." "Rain check?" That was when the Reaper did something that made every observer question their understanding of apex predators throughout the galaxy. It sat down and whimpered. The silence in the observation deck was so complete that you could have heard a pin drop. Unfortunately, what they heard instead was Marcus Webb laughing, not the maniacal laughter of someone who had snapped under pressure. Not the nervous giggling of impending doom. This was the genuine, delighted laughter of someone who had just discovered something absolutely hilarious. "Oh, you're kidding me." Marcus wiped tears from his eyes. "You're actually pouting. A 12-foot murder machine is giving me the puppy dog eyes." The Korthak Reaper, Galaxy's most feared predator, killer of thousands, scourge of 17 star systems, was indeed sitting on its haunches like an enormous, deadly puppy that had just been scolded. Admiral Vexthran's translator started smoking from overload. This is not possible. Korthak Reapers they don't show submission. They don't have emotions. They're pure killing instinct. "Sir," whispered Captain Zilmora, "maybe we should update our xenobiology textbooks." Marcus approached the creature slowly, hands visible. "Hey there, big guy. You're not really a monster, are you? You're just scared and confused, stuck in a strange place with weird little aliens pointing things at you." The Reaper tilted its massive head, and if such a thing were possible, it looked embarrassed. "I bet you didn't even want to be here," Marcus continued, his voice taking on the gentle tone one might use with a frightened animal. "Someone probably captured you, drugged you, threw you in here as a test subject. That's not very nice, is it?" In the observation deck, several officers began fidgeting uncomfortably. The human had a point, and they all knew it. Marcus was now close enough to touch the creature. Every military instinct in the watching aliens screamed warnings, but somehow they knew he was safe. "You know what the real difference between humans and most other species is?" Marcus asked, not to the Reaper, but loud enough for the hidden microphones to pick up. "We don't just survive because we're the strongest or the fastest or the most deadly. We survive because we understand." He gently placed his hand on the creature's snout. The Reaper leaned into the touch. "Every predator is just an animal trying to make it through another day. Back on Earth, we learned that lesson the hard way. We tried fighting everything that scared us, and you know what happened? We almost wiped ourselves out. Then we got smart. We learned to coexist." The other cadets were slowly emerging from their hiding spots, staring in wonder at the impossible scene before them. Talavos, a Centaurian who had been voted most likely to become a battle fleet commander, crawled out from under an overturned table. "Marcus, what are you doing?" "Making a friend," he replied simply. "Want to meet him?" "Absolutely not." The Admiral's voice boomed through the intercom. "Cadet Webb, step away from that creature immediately." Marcus looked up at the observation window and gave a cheerful wave. "Oh, hi there. Don't worry, everything's under control down here. Although, you might want to explain to your people why they thought terrorizing students with a kidnapped animal was a good training exercise." The temperature in the observation deck seemed to drop several degrees. "What did he just call us?" Lieutenant Kixtal asked weakly. "I believe," Admiral Vexthran said slowly, "he called us kidnappers and animal abusers." Marcus was now scratching behind what might have been the Reaper's ear. The creature was making a sound that could charitably be called purring, if purring could shake reinforced walls. "You see," Marcus addressed his fellow cadets, "the problem with most military thinking is that it assumes every encounter has to end in violence. But sometimes, the most effective strategy is just not fighting." Cadet Finn Korak, a proud Zolonian warrior whose species had conquered 3 systems through pure aggression, stared in disbelief. "But it's a predator. It's designed to kill." "So are humans," Marcus pointed out. "We're actually really good at killing things. Terrifyingly good, in fact. But we're also pretty decent at deciding when not to." He stood up and addressed the observation deck directly. "Here's the thing, Admiral. This beautiful creature isn't a monster. It's a person. Maybe not the way you or I are people, but it thinks, it feels, it has preferences and fears and desires. And right now, what it desires most is to go home." The Reaper stood up slowly, towering over Marcus. For a moment, every observer held their breath, then the creature gently nudged Marcus with its snout and made a soft chittering sound. "I know, buddy. I miss my home too sometimes." Admiral Vexthran's voice came through the intercom, much quieter now. "Cadet Webb, how did you know it wouldn't attack you?" Marcus shrugged. "I didn't. But I figured if it did, at least I'd die doing something interesting instead of cowering in a corner. Besides," he grinned, "everything on Earth taught me that the scariest-looking creatures are usually just misunderstood." The chamber doors hissed open, and a squad of heavily armed guards entered, weapons trained on the Reaper. "Stand down." Marcus stepped protectively in front of the creature. "He's not a threat." Cadet, move away from the hostile. The only hostiles I see are the ones pointing guns at a scared animal. For a moment, the standoff held. Then Admiral Vexthran's voice cut through the tension. Lower your weapons. All of you. Sir? You heard me. Stand down. The guards reluctantly complied. Marcus looked up at the observation window and smiled. Thank you, Admiral. Now, how about we discuss getting my friend here back to his family? As the immediate crisis passed, the other cadets began approaching slowly. The Reaper watched them carefully but showed no aggression. This is impossible, Tala whispered. This changes everything we know about interspecies relations. Maybe, Marcus said, still petting the massive creature, but it doesn't change the most important lesson. Sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is choose compassion over fear. The Reaper made its purring sound again, and Marcus laughed. Yeah, buddy. I think we're going to be great friends. In the observation deck, Admiral Vexthran sat down heavily in his chair. Today, a human cadet had just rewritten the Academy's entire approach to xenobiology, military strategy, and interspecies diplomacy, and he had done it all without firing a single shot to the galaxy. Vexthran realized, was about to become a very different place.